The rain hammered the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists, each drop a reminder that the old sedan had chosen the worst possible night to die. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as the engine coughed its last breath on a dark stretch of highway outside the city. Beside her, 6-year-old Lily clutched her stuffed rabbit, eyes wide with fear. Headlights from passing cars streaked by, none slowing, none caring. Sarah's phone was dead, her wallet held $12, and the tow truck company had laughed when she asked about payment plans. Then, through the blur of rain and despair, a single pair of headlights eased to a stop behind them. A man stepped out, umbrella in one hand, toolbox in the other, his expensive coat already soaked. He didn't ask if they needed help, he simply opened the hood and got to work. 2 hours later, the car purred back to life, and the stranger refused a dime. "Pay it forward," he said, voice low, before vanishing into the night. Sarah never forgot his face. Neither did Lily. 3 years later, at a glittering charity gala, Lily tugged her mother's sleeve and whispered, "That's the man who fixed our car, Mommy." She pointed straight at the keynote speaker, the billionaire CEO of the city's largest tech empire. If this moment just melted your heart, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a story that proves kindness changes everything. Sarah had never been the type to cry in front of her daughter, but that night on the highway, the tears came anyway. They slid down her cheeks in hot, silent tracks, mixing with the rain that leaked through the cracked weather stripping of the driver's side door. She was 29, a single mom who waitressed double shifts at the diner on 5th and Mercer, and the sedan, her father's before he passed, was the only thing keeping her from total collapse. The check engine light had been glowing for weeks, but rent was due, Lily needed new shoes, and the mechanic wanted $400 just to look. So Sarah had prayed, crossed her fingers, and kept driving. Until the engine seized with a sound like a gunshot, smoke billowing from under the hood, the temperature gauge buried in the red. Lily unbuckled herself and crawled into the front seat, pressing her small body against Sarah's side. "Are we gonna sleep here, Mommy?" she asked, voice trembling but brave. Sarah forced a smile that felt like glass. "No, baby. Someone will stop." But the minutes stretched into an hour, then 90 minutes, and the only vehicles that passed were 18-wheelers that rocked the car with their wind. Sarah's fingers were numb from the cold seeping through the vents. She thought about walking to the nearest exit, but it was miles away, and Lily's coat was too thin. She thought about her ex, who'd promised to send money for Lily's birthday and never did. She thought about the eviction notice folded in her purse. And she cried harder, muffling the sound in her sleeve so Lily wouldn't hear. That was when the black SUV pulled over. Not a flashy sports car, not a police cruiser, just a late-model Suburban with tinted windows and a dent in the fender that suggested it saw real use. The driver killed the headlights but left the hazards blinking, a small beacon in the dark. The man who stepped out was tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a charcoal overcoat that probably cost more than Sarah made in a month. He had the kind of face you trusted instinctively, strong jaw, kind eyes, a few days of stubble that said he'd been working late. He didn't shout over the rain, he simply walked to the hood, popped it with practiced ease, and disappeared inside a cloud of steam. Sarah cracked her window. "Sir, you don't have to." "Got a daughter about her age," he called back, voice carrying easily over the storm. "Wouldn't leave her out here." He didn't look up, just reached for the toolbox he'd set on the ground. Lily pressed her nose to the glass, watching. "He's like a superhero, Mommy. But without the cape." Sarah almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she watched the stranger work. He diagnosed the problem in minutes, a blown head gasket, coolant everywhere. Most people would have called a tow. He called a friend. 20 minutes later, a flatbed from a shop called Martinez Auto appeared, driven by a guy named Rico who greeted the stranger with a fist bump and a string of Spanish too fast for Sarah to follow. Together, they towed the sedan to the shop, the stranger following in his SUV. Sarah expected a bill that would bankrupt her. Instead, Rico handed her a work order marked "No charge," courtesy of E. Harlan. The stranger, E. Harlan, apparently, shrugged when she tried to thank him. "Shop owes me a favor. Use the money for something that matters." Then he knelt to Lily's level. "You take care of your mom, okay, kiddo?" Lily nodded solemnly, then shocked them both by hugging his leg. He patted her back awkwardly, stood, and was gone before Sarah could ask his full name. The next morning, the sedan ran better than it had in years. Rico had replaced the gasket, flushed the system, even changed the oil. Sarah cried again, this time in the shop's grimy bathroom while Lily colored on the back of a work order. She vowed to pay it forward, somehow, someday. Life, though, had other plans. The diner cut her hours. The landlord raised the rent. Lily started kindergarten, and the school supplies list felt like a ransom note. Sarah took a second job cleaning offices at night, falling into bed at 3 a.m. only to wake at 6 for the breakfast shift. She kept the sedan running with duct tape and prayer, but the memory of that night faded under the weight of survival. Until the invitation arrived. It came in a cream envelope, heavy stock, embossed with the logo of the Harlan Foundation. Sarah almost threw it away. Junk mail, she thought, but Lily spotted it first. "Look, Mommy. It has your name." Inside was a ticket to the annual Hearts and Homes Gala, a fundraiser for single-parent families. The note read, "In recognition of your strength and perseverance, we invite you to be our guest." Sarah had no idea how they'd found her. She almost declined. She had nothing to wear, no babysitter, but Lily begged to see the fancy people, and something in Sarah's chest fluttered with a feeling she hadn't entertained in years, hope. She borrowed a dress from Marisol at the diner, a simple black sheath that fit like it was made for her. Lily wore a hand-me-down velvet dress from the church bin, her hair in 2 perfect braids. The gala was held in the ballroom of the Meridian Hotel, all crystal chandeliers and string quartets. Sarah felt like an imposter, clutching Lily's hand as they navigated the crowd. Waiters offered champagne, Sarah asked for water. They found their table near the back, marked with a card that read, "Sarah and Lily Ramirez, honored guests." Lily swung her legs, whispering, "This is like a princess castle." The program began with a video montage, kids in new shoes, moms holding diplomas, families moving into apartments with actual heat. Sarah's throat tightened. Then the MC took the stage. "Our keynote speaker needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. The man who turned a college side hustle into a billion-dollar empire, yet still answers his own phone at midnight to help a friend. Please welcome Elijah Harlan." The room erupted. Sarah froze. The man striding to the podium was older now, hair threaded with silver, but the jaw, the eyes, the slight limp from an old soccer injury, it was him. The man from the highway. Lily gasped, loud enough that heads turned. "Mommy," she whispered, tugging Sarah's sleeve, "that's the man who fixed our car." Sarah's heart slammed against her ribs. She wanted to sink under the table, but Lily was already standing on her chair, one arm extended like she was hailing a cab. "That's him. The nice man with the toolbox." A ripple of laughter spread through the nearby tables. Elijah Harlan paused mid-step, scanning the room. His gaze landed on Lily, then Sarah. Recognition flickered, followed by something softer. He changed course, walking straight to their table as the MC faltered. "Lily Ramirez," he said, crouching so they were eye level. "You grew 3 inches." Lily beamed. "You remember me? Hard to forget a kid who hugs like a python." He looked at Sarah. "You both look incredible." Sarah found her voice. "You paid for the repairs. The whole thing." He shrugged, embarrassed. "Rico's my cousin. Family helps family." The MC cleared his throat. Elijah stood. "Give me 10 minutes, he told the room, "then I'll bore you with numbers." More laughter. He returned to the stage, but not before slipping Lily a business card with a phone number scrawled on the back. "In case you ever need anything." His speech was about second chances, about seeing need and acting without hesitation. He told the story of a night 3 years ago, a broken-down car, a mom who wouldn't quit. He didn't name them, but every eye in the room swiveled to Sarah and Lily. When he finished, the applause was thunderous. Then he did something no one expected. He stepped off the stage, took the microphone, and said, "Sarah Ramirez, get up here." She shook her head, mortified, but Lily was already dragging her forward. The crowd parted. Elijah met them halfway. 3 years ago, he said into the mic, "This woman taught me what strength looks like." Tonight, the Harlan Foundation is starting the Ramirez Scholarship, full ride for any child of a single parent who maintains a 3.0 GPA. First recipient? He looked at Lily. "You, when you're ready." The room exploded. Sarah couldn't breathe. Cameras flashed. Lily hugged Elijah's legs again, and this time he lifted her onto his hip like it was the most natural thing in the world. Later, in the quiet of the hotel lobby, Elijah explained. He'd never forgotten them. Rico had kept tabs, quietly covering Lily's school fees, sending grocery gift cards Sarah thought were from the church. When the foundation needed a face for their new initiative, Elijah insisted on Sarah. "You inspired me," he said simply. "Let me return the favor." The scholarship was just the beginning. Sarah enrolled in night classes for her nursing degree, funded by a grant Elijah personally matched. Lily thrived in a school with art programs and counselors who noticed when she seemed quiet. The sedan finally gave up the ghost, but a gently used SUV appeared in their driveway one morning, keys in an envelope that read, "For the next rainy night." Years passed. Sarah graduated top of her class, landing a job in the pediatric ICU. Lily, now 10, started a kindness club at school, collecting coats for kids who needed them. And every December, on the anniversary of that stormy night, an invitation arrived for the Hearts and Homes Gala. Sarah and Lily attended, no longer guests but speakers, sharing their story. Elijah always saved them seats at his table. He never married, never had kids of his own, but Lily called him Uncle E, and he showed up for every recital, every graduation. One year, Lily, 16 now, tall and fierce, took the stage alone. She told the story everyone knew by heart, but this time she added an epilogue. "Uncle E taught me that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear muddy boots and carry toolboxes. And sometimes," she said, voice cracking, "they're just people who stop when no one else does." The room was silent, then erupted. Elijah, gray at the temples, wiped his eyes without shame. Sarah watched from the wings, her heart so full it ached. She thought of the night she'd cried in a broken car, certain the world had forgotten her. She thought of the stranger who'd proven it hadn't. And she thought of her daughter, who'd grown up believing kindness was a superpower anyone could wield. As the gala ended, Lily found her mom in the crowd. "Ready?" she asked. Sarah nodded. They had a tradition now. After every event, they drove to the spot on the highway where it all began. They left a small plaque bolted to a guardrail. "On this spot, a stranger chose kindness. Pay it forward." Every year, fresh flowers appeared, left by people who'd heard the story. Some left notes. One read, "Fixed a tire for a mom today. Thought of you." That night, as they stood in the cold, Lily slipped her hand into Sarah's. "Think he knows how many lives he changed?" Sarah smiled. "He knows." Headlights approached, slowed, then continued on. Another car, another story, another chance for someone to stop. And somewhere, in a city that never slept, a man in a charcoal coat kept a toolbox in his trunk. Just in case.